Look, you have no idea how many times I've tried to film this video. Every time I end up discarding it halfway through my own story because I lose confidence, or I get bored, or I get uncomfortable with the amount of detail that I'm giving. So this isn't about my coming out story per se, but I do want to talk about coming out, and I do want to talk about my experience and what that has kind of taught me and what that says about where I've grown up and so on and so forth. So to start this off, my name is Sarah, if you didn't know, and I'm gay, very much a lesbian. And it hasn't been a straightforward road for me. For some people, might seem that way, but internally I've been going through a lot of turmoil to figure that out. Like, I went from thinking I was bi to thinking, oh no, I'm definitely straight, to, but I'm definitely gay, and then maybe I'm some hybrid of like bi-romantic, homosexual, what? And then I went back to being gay. So sexuality is fluid, that's the first thing. For some people sexuality is fluid, and for some people, and I guess that's me, but I've definitely, at filming time, I'm a lesbian, and I feel comfortable with that, and I've felt comfortable with that for a few years now. So that's that out of the way. Now, I am born and raised in Scandinavia. I was born in Norway, raised in Denmark, and so I am pretty lucky. I'm very, very privileged. First of all, I'm privileged because I'm white, which, yeah, in this case also gives you privilege, if you didn't know. I'm also privileged because I was raised in a Scandinavian country where we have a social security net, and I was raised in a family that's fairly open-minded. So I've had a pretty positive experience overall. I think the negativity that came from this was from myself, like from internal homophobia, or like people didn't know that they were being homophobic, or people were ignorant of what is homophobic and what's not. So it's been like these small things, very small things, and that has kind of shaped my story in a way that it's become this positive experience, and usually I'm pretty comfortable just admitting or just saying, hey, I'm gay. But I've noticed that when I'm out of the country, I don't admit it that readily. And I haven't been outside of Europe, so that's saying something. I think most of my family knows. I say it like that because I've not personally told anyone but my mum, really, like outright. But word's gotten around with my permission, and I think most of my family knows. I don't know. If not, I guess they have a chance now to know. I'm gonna go briefly the time span of this. So, as a teenager, everything was screwed up. I was battling depression. I'm gonna talk about that in a different video, my whole depression thing. But I was battling depression. I didn't know it, but I was. And I was having a lot of personal issues. So the whole sexuality thing didn't really... I didn't really, I remember being outside my classroom one day in high school and being like, what am I really, like, sexuality wise? And just being like, nope, that's for another day, and just packing it away in my head. And then I didn't really surface, like, I told friends if they asked that I was bi because I wanted to keep my options open, but really, I didn't know. I had no idea. So it wasn't until I was like 19 that I started thinking about it again and thinking really hard, like, did I desire men or boys or whatever, guys? And the answer was no. So I tried out the whole gay thing, and I didn't want to say anything publicly, like, as publicly as you can as a private person, like, to friends and classmates and stuff like that, like, be out. And I didn't want to say anything until my mum knew. And so I spent half a year trying to tell her, but I just kind of cowered a little bit. I was a huge coward about it, and then one day she asked me, because I had been out on social media that I didn't think my friends or people I knew in real life would find, but I wasn't that good at it, so my brothers kind of found it, and there we are. They told my mum, and she asked me, are you gay? And I was like, yeah, and she's like, cool. Now, this is what I want to talk about, right? This is a very long intro, but this is what I want to talk about, is my mum wasn't really, she wanted to be okay with it, but she wasn't. And I hope it's okay that I talk about this, Mum. But I want to talk about the fact that it's okay. Like, I tried for a really long time to get my mum to watch One Day at a Time. Because in One Day at a Time, the first season, Elena comes out as gay. And Elena is the daughter. And the mum, Penelope, is not okay with it. She wants to be okay with it, but there's something in her that's like, oh no, things are changing. She's not who I thought she was. Why is this so hard for me to understand and accept? And ultimately she talks to someone who tells her, and this is what I wanted to tell my mum without asking her, because it feels a little bit aggressive to be like, are you not okay with this? But Penelope meets someone who says to her that Elena has had a while to come to terms with this and accept it before she told you. You should be allowed a bit of time to come to terms and accept it too. And so that's what I tried to give my mum that, and that's why I wanted my mum to watch that episode. It took a long while, but she did it. So, proud of you, Mum. Yeah, I think that's something that you need to remember, is that, and there's a difference between parents, like, disowning you and, like, shoving you out on the street, or being like, you're not our child anymore. Like, that's fucked up. But if they seem like if they tell you they really want to accept it, or they do accept it, but then you can feel that there's, like, they have a hard time kind of getting used to it, just give them some time. Like, understand that this is, you've just changed the future for them. Like, they probably, like, my mum had a whole lot of dreams for me, and suddenly they changed. Like, I don't know, she wanted the whole pregnancy thing to be a thing. Like, she wanted to support me through pregnancy and so on, and the wait and the planning and the excitement, and she had to get used to the idea that I might never get pregnant. I'm never getting pregnant by accident, that's for sure. And I'm starting to lean more towards the idea of adopting when that time comes. So we had a long conversation about that when she was ready to have it. And I think that's important, to wait until they're ready to have that conversation and to give them some time to get used to the idea. Because no doubt people coming out, like, I know that I needed so long to get used to the idea. And so, yeah, just give people time. I will say though, it is a huge privilege when someone comes out to you, and like, I've had people come out to me and I am so touched every time, because that means that they trust me enough, especially if they're not out to everyone, because like, that's a huge vote of confidence, right? And a part of me knows that the times that people have come out to me before they've been like out has been because I was out. But it's still this huge vote of confidence that like, you want me to know you. And so it's, yeah, I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm just babbling. But I do think it's a huge compliment and a huge privilege to have someone come out to you. But I also understand the whole, especially for parents, the whole, you know, needing time to get used to the idea. I mean, that's the biggest hurdle I've had to go get over. So, you know, that means that I'm in a very privileged position. I think that's how I'm gonna tie it to the beginning. I'm in a very privileged position because that is my biggest hurdle. I think, wow. I think coming out is hard, and it's not something you should do unless you're ready. This is something that everyone says, right? These are things that everyone tells you. Don't come out until you're ready, you know, take your time, don't come out unless you're safe, which are all valid points. Like, that's really valid. I just really want, yeah, I don't know, I want that conversation to happen, you know? I want my family and friends to know that they can ask questions as long as they're respectful about it. And I think it's good to ask questions as long as you're respectful about it, right? So, yeah, I don't know. It's yeah. I mean, this is how this is the best way I can do this without giving away too much information of what I'm comfortable with, but also not losing confidence, you know? I guess I'm making this video because I watched a lot of coming out videos when I was on the brink of coming out, and to myself, and so many of them were so sad, and I guess I wanted I wanted to contribute with the good stories, because we need those. I think there are so many people who need to know that it can be good. Like, being a part of the LGBT plus community doesn't have to be all about suffering, you know? It can be about falling in love and getting closer with your family and getting to be who you are, you know? Figuring yourself out. Yeah. So if I help just one person feel better about the whole coming out stitch, I guess this video has been worthwhile. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope whoever you are that coming out, whether it's you or someone you know, that it gets a little bit easier, and that there's a little bit more hope in your heart if there wasn't before. And if you're just here to watch me talk, you know, that's what you got. Bye.